right, boys, here we go, here we go, here we go. Let's get this show on the road. Woo, boys. How has your week been? Tuesday night, 50 days to go, man. Carl Crawford, welcome to the chat, man. 50 days to go, man. Those days will come in through quick, fast, and in a hurry. Beastmaster, welcome to the stream. I appreciate you. SM2 is Space Marine 2. They had a massive 1-year update. It's year 2 for them. It's a lot of great new content, particularly some PvP style content for once. So there's some cool stuff going on in there. So that's going to be cool. So yeah, how your guys' day been, man? It's Tuesday, kind of getting started of the week, getting there. From Scotland, all right. Cole Croft, you wouldn't happen to be an MMA fan, would you? I know I was watching UFC yesterday. Paul Craig, he retired. He's just from Scotland, so I'm just curious whether or not you ended up watching that. Let's see here. Game capture. There it goes. That's where we should be going on. There we go. So, no real big thing for Arc Raiders in terms of news, but we got a new community lead, so that's improvement, I think. I think it's different. It's not like a PR thing. It's mostly just, you know, I think that job's probably harder, honestly, because PR is like, you know, just kind of promoting, you know, the game, which honestly, if you're promoting Arc Raiders, that's probably one of the, it's almost like marketing for Starbucks. It's kind of, it's going to do its job. It's like, hey, play this game. Just play this game for a little bit. You do all the marketing that we need, right? In regards to what she does, being a community lead and all, I think that's harder because you're dealing with all the fanatics. You're dealing with all the people who are our community already. So, I don't know. Maybe it's easier. Maybe it's not. I don't know, man. Beastmaster, what's up, big dog? Oh man, shoot, just living the dream, man. Living the dream. All right. Paul Crofter, no, but my friend is a friend of Chris Duncan. Okay. Okay. There you go. I've never been into a sports guy. I can't sit down and watch sports for any particular reason. I mean, I'll watch things like maybe like the World Cup, maybe a few matches here and there, but like, you know, but I think MMA is probably the one sport that it's going to be different, right? We're kind of an MMA household at this point. Every weekend, Saturday, there's going to be fights. You're going to be watching fights. And it's all day usually because we have found that the prospect fights, like the prelims, they're full of guys who are just like, they're still hungry. Those are where you get some of the great fights, honestly. Those are some of the really good fights. You know, occasionally you'll get some good ones in the headliners, right? But it feels like once they get to the headliners, they're kind of like, they're tiptoeing, they're playing a little bit more safe, things like that. So I understand the game there, but it's like, I'm not trying to watch a fight, man. Yeah, man. You know who Chris Duncan is. That's cool, man. Hey, hook it up with them tickets, man. Hook it up with them tickets. Oh yeah, Chris Duncan. You know, he's no slouch. Oh, Aspinall all day. Oh yeah, Beastmaster, Tom Aspinall, Sarah Gon. Aspinall all day, every day. It's not even close. I think Gon is just the only person who's going to take the fight, right? I mean, he spent, you know, years trying to get John Jones on there, and John Jones just ducking him left and right at this point. You know, unfortunately, the state of the heavyweights heavyweights in the UFC is kind of, it's slim. So I don't know. Tom Aspinall, I feel like, represents a really, really strong like, he's just so strong. He's such a well-rounded fighter. and that division is just so weak that it makes him look even better. And not taking it away from him, he still looks good regardless. It's just that division makes it look even more, making him look even more impressive, right? So I'm hoping we get, and that's kind of hard to do, right? Like I think someone pointed out, I think it was Sean Strickland who pointed out, like if you're like 6'4", 250-pound, 300-pound athletic specimen, you're playing in the NFL, man. You're not doing no UFC. You're getting paid millions to do football. You're not gonna get, in a ring to get paid, I don't know, 5 figures or, yeah. I am familiar with who the MMA guru is. I just don't follow him directly enough to really know of anything recent. It's just one of those things where I feel like I keep it at a distance. I'll watch the fights for what they are. Like I'm a purist in the sense that I'll watch the fight for the sake of the fight. I want to watch a good fight. Do I have the fighters that I prefer, that are my favorite for reasons that are maybe about the fight or not about the fight? Sure. But like if it's a good fight, win or lose, whoever it is, it's a good fight. It's entertaining. I love this the raw sport of it, and so when it gets to all nitty gritty in the commentaries, whatever it is, and people start theorizing, like, dude, you're dealing with cage fighting, bro. Like you can sit there and say like, oh, I believe this, that, and the other, and you might be right a lot of the times because you're looking at in the aggregate, but like puncher's chance out of nowhere, How do you guys feel about Josh Van? I like Josh Van. Like, honestly, that next fight of his might be a little much for him, to be honest. But like, I thought that about the last fight too. I actually lost money on that fight, but I was actually kind of happy to see I lost money on that fight, to be honest. He ended up being absolute beast mode. Yeah, Cole Crawford, John Jones is running scared of Aspinall. Like, dude, that man has been running for so long, since before Aspinall, dude. Like, I mean, with Ngannou, I'm not sure if you're familiar with, like, they were like, he was throwing some absurd number. Supposedly this is the part that I did follow. There's some absurd number that he threw out there that in order for him to take the fight, thinking that UFC would never put up that money. And then when they actually found the money, he said no anyways. I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't want to fight Ngannou either. Just saying. But like, I don't know. That man's been ducking for a long time. So, either way, man. Let's get things rolling here. Rogue, man. Welcome to the stream. How have you been? How was your weekend? And how is your week starting so far? Beastmaster64 Jones also beat his wife, hit and run, pregnant women, good riddance. Yeah, I mean, I try not to kind of get involved in that in terms of just like, do I want to see him get his ass beat more because of that? Yeah, sure. But like, I'm just happy we don't have to talk about it anyways. Paul Crawford money has ruined the UFC and many other sports. F1 springs to mind. I mean, just speaking from UFC alone, I think the lack of money in the fighter's favor is ruining it. Like, because there's plenty of money to go around everywhere else. But until you start feeding it more to the fighters, you're going to get divisions like the heavyweight division, for example. You're just going to get, you're never going to get a good heavyweight division so long as the fighters keep getting paid the way they're getting paid. Right? Because you're going to have full specimens of beefy, athletic individuals who are 6'4", 300 pounds, or 260 or 250 or whatever they're going to be, who can actually run a good 40 on 40, like actually have good athleticism at that size. They're playing football, brother. If they're that tall, they're probably playing basketball. They're playing another sport that's going to pay them millions of dollars. Even if they're going to be playing like, I don't know, European or B League sports, they're still getting paid way more than UFC ever gets paid, right? And this is what's going to be. So I think it's the money isn't necessarily the issue. I think it's money distribution is the issue. So Rogue, weekdays and weekends been the same for me for a while. It was fine. Oh yeah, that's right. You're looking for it. Beastmaster, so when's the promo of Ark coming? We thinking. Dude, I don't even know, man. I've been saying for a while, maybe it's unpopular for me, but like, I honestly, I know we've been told otherwise. We've been told that they're officially going to have an actual marketing campaign, but I wouldn't be surprised if they just straight just dropped it out of nowhere and just be like, "Boop, here's October 13th. Play it. You'll love it." And that's it. But I'm sure there'll be marketing. In terms of pre-ordering, I don't know, man. It's Embark has been hitting the drum to their own beat for a while, and it's hard to predict. They're hard to predict, man. They're not doing it traditional kind of way, which is it's fine. They're not a traditional kind of company, which is a good thing, I think. Paul Crofter, the money split argument is why I never got Fury versus Joshua. Yeah, well. Beastmaster pre-orders end of this month or start of next month. Maybe start of next month. It depends. If I recall correctly, the fiscal quarter. When's the fiscal quarter end? Let me look that up real quick, because I think that's a big part of it as well, right? Oh yeah, no. See, fiscal quarter ends September 30th, right? So I'm willing to bet pre-orders are going to happen in the next week or two, right? And the reason why I say that, because for shareholders' sake, it makes things look good. If you can say, oh, we have X number of pre-orders within X number of days, I think they might even wait to be like maybe like a week, but prior to September 30th, so they can have everyone and just announce it and just have everybody just ramp up, and they use that number to kind of like show shareholders, hey, look how many people are interested in our game, right? So I think that might be the case. If I were trying to game the system that way, Rogue, new update. Embark got a new community manager for Arc Raiders a few days ago. Yeah, we saw that. That was interesting. Took a quick look through the X profile, and looks like she's got a history. I'm familiar with some of the games she's been working with as well. It's I mean, it's a good start. Cole Crofter, what do I think it will Embark have up their sleeves for the endgame if they already said no wipes? Somebody had to do it. Modern Nick, man. Modern Nick, how are you doing? Thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate you. By the way, if you're not already following me on Twitch, I highly encourage you to go from YouTube to Twitch. The only reason I even have a Twitch, the only reason I even started streaming at all was because Marathon, right? I know, right? But it became clear to me that Twitch has so many more tools for developers in terms of like giving creators access to drops and things like that, that I have to have a presence there, right? I have to have the presence in both places, right? Modern Nick, ranked maybe? I'm not sure. I think I'm not. I've always been kind of skeptical about how ranked would work in an extraction game, because of the inherent nature of how it works. There's so many different win conditions. I just recently put out a video regarding that in terms of like what you use as a win condition. I even made a video on that, Cole Crofter, in terms of the proxy system. I think what you're gonna see a combination of things, right? You're not gonna see any one particular thing working, right? Because proxy systems don't work, right? I laid that out in my proxy system video. Right, by itself is not an answer. Can it be part of an answer? Absolutely. I think it's absolutely a part of an answer. I think you can create great incentives if you combine it with other things. What I think they're going to do, I have no idea. I wouldn't even hazard a guess, honestly. Right? Modern Nick value as win points. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Are you talking about like a high score type thing? Because you're talking about like with ranked, with ranked. See, the only experience I have with ranked in an extraction game would be like ABI, right? Arena Breakout Infinite, right? And the issue that I found with ABI and with the way they scored it is that it's highly incentivized survival, right? Right? But like over to the point where it changed the way you play the game entirely. So as soon as you're playing ranked, you're trying to survive as much as you can because there's so much weight on your extraction as opposed to your kills. And so it made you way less aggressive as a default. And so I'm not sure necessarily that translates into a good system, you know. But I'm certainly open to it. In terms of like making it worth it. I don't think it's a solution for no wiping, but maybe. I think you can do it kind of like a Path of Exile type situation where you have you have your ranked, and then in order for you to start the next ranked season, you have to wipe yourself in order to participate in said ranked. So like all the tryhards, all the sweats, they're gonna want to do that. And to be perfectly honest, they're probably the people who have the most loot anyway. So, yeah. Rogue, I listened to Embark Dev Talk, and they said they use the word no mandatory wipes, so hope it's not just self wipes, but something more. Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be something more. Like to me, like I made the video about no wipes, and I added my suggestion about having clans, right? And I lay that out at a surface level, right? I didn't go into too big of detail, but I laid out on surface level an idea I've kind of developed over a course of a few years at this point, and I feel like Arc Raiders is in a great position to be able to utilize something like that, and I feel like it's a great layer to add to an extraction game. Whether or not they're going to do it, obviously, I highly doubt it, but like whether or not any extraction game is going to do something like that, who knows, man. Hunt Showdown does a good mix of prestige and wipes. Wipes are only once every like 3 years. Kolka, oh yes, I watched that clan video. I like that. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Evelette, man, welcome to the stream, man. I don't know, man. In my experience, the prestige system is just like I never used it once. But I think maybe I'm an anomaly. I haven't used a single prestige system my entire life. The majority of people who I've played with, who also play Hunt, have used it sparingly, like hardly ever. Some people will say they've used it, here and there. I mean, there's people who say you have. I mean, bear in mind, this is just anecdotal, So there's people who have the opposite experience. But I think the point being that can't be a end all be all solution for gear inflation, right? Because even, and I laid this out in my prestige video, right? Because Hunt has a very shallow loot system, so it can't really be used as an example as to successful, right? Right, because there's the loot's easy come, easy go. It's like it's nothing. There's really no looting to speak of, to be perfectly honest. Right, so when you start moving to the realm of like where loot is actually valuable, the incentive needs to be significantly higher. It's not just a magical wand of like, oh, you get more skins or things like that. Like, there are going to be incentives that do not work for some people, full stop. Right? I think there can be ways you can do it. Right? But it's not going to be on its own. Modern Nick, if there is a good reward for a reset, why not? Skins or something? I mean, here's the thing, right? As for me personally, especially when we start getting to the point where skins can be earned other ways, I'm going to look at a skin and go, cool, I can only wear one skin at a time, or I start customizing certain things or whatever it is. If your incentive for me to wipe is to have a skin that I don't particularly care for, I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it, right? And that's going to be a lot of other people. And some people who don't care for skins at all. Like that's not a motivator for them. It's just not worth it for them, right? And so you have to do that. And so here's another factor as well. Like I point this out in my prestige video, is that even if you find the motivator that works on 100% of people, again, not going to happen. But if let's say you have all these different kind of motivators that can all kind of funnel people into this prestige system, and you get 100% of people motivated enough to use it, they're going to do it at such a trickling through rate, right? Real estate gamer coming late, but hi all. I'm an alcoholic, dude, and thank you. Welcome to the stream, man. Chicken curry, man. Welcome to the stream. And so to finish my point here, when you they can do all of that. The problem is that you're gonna have like your top 1%ers who are gonna go through the content really fast, and then start prestiging. You're gonna have the 10% below that. They're gonna go through it. They're gonna go through it fast, but not as fast, and they're gonna start trickling through, and they're gonna start prestiging, right? And as they come back into the system, everybody else is still kind of halfway through, and they're kind of all filtered through the system. How you think it's going to be easier for them to max out again, or slower? It's going to be easier because more people have gear already, so they're just getting all the loot pinatas of people being around. See, the problem with prestiging with gear, and when gear is involved, is that as you prestige, everybody else still has gear. You didn't change anything. The whole economy still stays in place, and it's a treadmill, but that doesn't go fast enough. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't go fast enough. A wipe only works because it's instant for everybody. And that's kind of like my point being is even if you can solve the motivational problem, which I'm not even saying you can, I'm just saying even if you can solve that, that's the other problem you have to fix. It has to be so effective that it can make you want to do that over and over again at a high enough rate that everybody's doing that at a high enough rate that it matters. See what I'm saying? It's like it's gonna be part of the solution. It ain't gonna be the whole solution, right? Let's see here. Chicken Curry wish they would make a map PV only with the big boss, like how Dark and Darker does. I don't. That's just the thing to me is like here's the reason why. It's not that I'm trying to yuck your yum, and what you might find fun or everybody else might find fun. Whatever resources they're spending on that, they're not spending it on content that I would like. See what I'm saying? It's like the game is PvEVP, PvPvE. You have to have a balance of everything, right? You got to have a balance of everything, you know? Modern Nikki, I'm just kind of player which will do something like this for just a number in a profile. But you're right, that's not for everyone. It might be it. That might be enough, right? And Richard Williams, man, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. Appreciate you being here. And it's Evelo here is such a huge problem. I don't think there's a solution unless what if all the loot had a timer before it degrades, making every item a currency that you have to get again, but a long timer like that. I mean, that's basically like a staggered wipe, right? It could be the case, you know. Depends on how you do it. It's interesting. This one I haven't heard of before, though. I'll give you props for that one. Riverside, welcome to the chat, man. Appreciate you coming by. It's very hard to play this game on controller when you're aiming and firing. I mouse a keyboard for such a long time, man. I've very rarely touch a keyboard, or very rarely touch a controller. About like 3 months. Rogue, yeah, we can just use another skin. Self wipes are not enough, no matter what. Right? It's just, it really what it is, man. You gotta have. One thing that I found that was useful is having a currency, like having the shop or having the majority of the skins kind of being, you know, in a shop where like you have to use currency, and that currency comes from prestiging. Maybe it doesn't, but again, it's again just part of the solution, not the whole solution, you know. The real estate gamer, maybe they have a prestige only parts of the game, like maps or raids for those prestige players, or maybe when you are prestige, those regular gear items lose some of their value or lack something, you know. You know, it's one of those things where I think wipes, if you do them in the right way, and I don't mean like a whole involuntary wipe system, I'm talking like I had in the clan system, like voluntarily wiping clans is different from involuntarily wiping the whole community, because the people, and often people will say, well, what if you just don't create a clan? What if you just, you know, play the regular game, you don't go contribute to the clan? Then you're probably not, just being bluntly honest, you're probably not good enough to acquire the amount of gear that where you're a problem to the economy. Just, sorry, I hate to be the one to bear the bad news on that one. You know, that's one of why I made the clan system. It basically comes down to just, you know, getting that need to have that high level PvP and funneling people into that direction, and then putting them in extreme combat that it's gonna force the use of that gear, and whatever's left over is gonna be out of the economy entirely anyways, you know. Evelette, I think you're right. As long as there's no wipe, you gotta have some way of degrading stuff. How that looks and whether or not you can make that into a fun way of going about it is going to be the question there. How do you do that? You know? Crazy Trick, man. Welcome to the chat. Derating loot will only be a part of it. If you can max out most of the skill tree and don't need to wipe, you are strong. I mean, I think here's another way of going about it as well. It's like you can create a fourth branch and have those points only be attainable by prestiging. So like your character arc has like, you know, you go through those different branches, you can have different playthroughs, right? And then after you reset, boom, you get points, and you get to add points to this other branch that's permanent. And so after each wipe, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger from there. So maybe that could be a good long-term thing, but even then, that's going to have a time limit too, in terms of like how many times you can do that for how many, you know, points. But I think it's a good start. You know, it might be, again, just a part of the solution. Again, that's just, there's no, I don't think there's going to be a silver bullet to this situation, honestly. They say Rogue, Evolet, there was weapons in degradation in Tech 2s, but I think it was repaired with coins easily, so many they can limit no of repairs. I mean, yeah, I mean, just that was just maintenance. You know, that's been in plenty of other extraction shooter games. It's just maintenance. It's a great currency sink, but it's not going to move the needle, to be perfectly honest. Honestly, I think if you do it so harshly, it's going to be only affect, like, you know, non-streamer players, you know? Modern Nick, what do you think about storage space? I was wasting about 5 minutes each game just managing, selling, crafting. I don't feel like having enough space. It becomes especially frustrating. Dude, I literally just put out a video. Check out my YouTube link. I just put out a video talking about this. So yeah. Guys, if you're on YouTube, YouTube chat doesn't, big chance. If you're on YouTube, I would highly encourage you to go to Twitch. I'm trying to build my following there a little bit more because devs look at all those metrics in terms of giving me access, in terms of, you know, drops, things of that nature. I would love to be able to have access to that, to then turn around and get more content for you guys. And so if you guys can follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitch. If not, I'm perfectly happy talking to you guys on YouTube as well. So no pressure one way or the other, you know. Evolet, how's life? Life's good, man. Honestly, can't complain. I mean, I got my health, you know, and that's the majority of it. Don't underestimate that, you know. Rogue, a podcast tomorrow, right? Also the finals update tomorrow. No podcast tomorrow. Podcasts are usually recorded on Saturdays and uploaded on and go live on Sundays. Unfortunately, because of scheduling, both from my end and other people's ends, and then just we're gonna have to delay a little bit. And I apologize for that, but to make up for that, I'm going to fast track one of the videos I had planned to, you know, come out sooner than before, so that way I can kind of keep you guys entertained and, you know, satiated, you know. Let's see here, Modern Nick, what about the second part? I don't feel like I have enough space. It becomes especially frustrating when I sell some random item and then 10 minutes later I need it for the quest. Happens a lot to me. I mean, yeah, I mean, I talk about that right through the video as well. It's just basically like, I don't feel that a stash space being restrictive is the answer for basically almost anything, right? Because collecting loot and gathering loot and gathering wealth as a stash is the integral experience of a extraction shooter. Does that mean I think it should be unlimited? No, I don't think it should be unlimited. But I don't think limiting it for a particular objective outside of, you know, capping growth in the beginning when you're starting off playing is necessary, because it's creating a pain point that only newer people are experiencing, right? And here's the thing about it, right? It's like, as you were pointing out, you don't know what to keep, you don't know what to have on there, what to sell, when to sell, and you're selling things and later on you need them and you're feeling like crap, right? Players who played the game and have experience in the game are not affected by smaller stashes at all, because they know exactly what to hold on to, when to hold on to it, and for how much of it to hold on to. They know that already. So the only people that are really hurt by smaller stashes are newer players, right? And so newer players aren't the people hurting the economy, right? They're just getting started. They're barely holding on to what they got, you know. So Salties, man, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the chat. Let's see. As long as I want selling the trinkets and keeping my stacks of plastics and metal parts down, just a few. It felt like okay. I don't want it smaller than we had for Mac. That's for sure for Max. Yeah, I mean, what do you guys? How do you guys feel about that? I felt like the stash size in Tech Test 2 was good. Like it wasn't too big, wasn't too small. I felt like it was a good size, you know, and I felt like it was reasonably priced in terms of like what it required of you to upgrade, because like it was good. Let's see here. Salties, do we know if there's any some kind of matchmaking, loot based, skill based? I mean, we have an Arc Raiders category, but the problem is I'm not playing Arc Raiders, so I don't want to give people the illusion that I'm playing Arc Raiders. I'm just chatting about it. I'll probably end up playing Space Marine here in a little bit. But in terms of matchmaking, I don't believe there is matchmaking outside of group size, right? So if you're solo, you go against solos. If you duo, you go, and then if you're duo or trios, you go up against duos / trios, and those are not 100% fixed, right? So if you're a solo, you might run into a duo, you might run into a trio. Likewise with duos and trios, you might run into both. And I like that because it has a sense of fairness, but no guarantees, right? And I think that no guarantee is super important, because just because you kill XYZ number of players doesn't mean you get to let your guard down, you know. And I like that. It kind of gives you a good little tension. However, I'm one of those few people that actually do believe there should be some skill matchmaking. Somebody had to do it, man. Somebody had to do it. It's not showing up as a follow. Where's the Oh no. Who followed didn't stay on my little thing here. Thank you for the follow, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for coming on over. Being part of the chosen one, I guess. But yeah, I feel like there should be some kind of skill-based matchmaking. Not super hard, just a pretty soft one, because like, let's be realistic. People who are just starting to play the game, they got like less than 20 hours in the game. They shouldn't be up against people who have hundreds of hours in the game. It shouldn't be the case, right? It's just, you know. Oh, device is trash. Who's that awesome dude you're playing Arc Raiders with? Oh, that was just some scrub that it was like I was carrying for a bit. The device thinks he's slick. I gotta catch up on chat. You guys are being rambunctious now. Radio Rambo, man, thank you for showing up for the chat. Thanks for shopping in. Does the game play like The Division or more like Star Wars Battlefront? That's interesting. I think more like Battlefront. I think The Division, very bullet spongy, in my opinion. That's one of the things I didn't care for. But it's not as fast as Battlefront. I think you still have some give and take in your gunfights. So if you get shot first, it's not guaranteed you're gonna lose. So you know, Ozart, I have at least an open beta, so everyone can get onto the test servers. Hey, let's see here. Evelette, I crave more Arc, and me too, man. My addiction grows deep. I'm sure that's a good thing. Despite what doctors say, you know, you got some medication for that, right? Rogue, I believe they tested all server metrics in Tech Test 2, so it should be good to go on launch. Yeah. They already said openly, no more betas. They got all the information that they needed. What the information is, don't know. So, you know, hey. Barney number 7 storage was good, but mine that we only played for a couple days, and some of us had hit it full wonderful to be able to expand it further than those 200 slots. Well, a full is not necessarily the goal, right? It's like you had it full, but you also didn't know what you needed. You didn't upgrade everything. Once you were done upgrading everything, a lot of those items didn't really require you to hold on to anymore, to be perfectly honest. So maybe it's enough, because then you, at that point, you've decided, hey, I've upgraded all my workbenches, I've done all that stuff. Other than crafting materials of items that I actually want to craft, what do I need to hold on to anymore? Then at that point, you start selling things off, and it starts to look, over time, more and more of that proportion of your storage is starting to looking like gear. Well, unless you're losing a lot of it, then, well, that's a you problem right there at that point. Yeah, Colecrafter, agree. There should always be tension in the extraction shooter. No tension takes so much away. Absolutely. And it's one of the things where I always hear about people having games when they're playing Hunt Showdown and they didn't run into people. I don't know what lobbies you guys are in, but every time I played Hunt Showdown, I ran into people. And it played a little bit kind of like a BR in that regard, in the sense that I kind of knew I was going into a fight. So a lot of the tension was gone because I knew for a fact I was going into a fight. There was no, like, wonder. So kind of weird that way. Like, you can run into... And I feel like with Arc Raiders, they had a really good... I'm not sure, what do you guys feel about that? I felt like Arc Raiders had just enough people and just enough pathings that there were matches where I could run into people. Every once in a while I got into a match where I didn't run into anybody, but that was rare. I ran into just enough people to make it feel like I'm always worried about what's around the corner, but not so much that I felt like I was in a death match, you know? What do you guys think? Did you guys feel like you guys were in a death match, or it was more of like a good balance? What did you guys feel like it was, like a good balance, you know? Hey, Skate, what's going on? I search YouTube for Arc Raider news every day. Oh, man. Dude, hate to break it to you, man, but that's not gonna be healthiest thing in the world. Honestly, just follow the Discord, follow your favorite creators. Like me, I don't upload videos all the time, but if there's something new, I'm gonna put it on my X. I try to be active only on there when I have something to say, and if there's news, I'm gonna put it out. You know, that Arc guy, shout out to him, at that Arc guy. I would follow him. He's on top of that stuff on X, so likely the news. If there's news that happens, he's gonna give it to you right away. So he's a good guy. He's a good guy for that one. Any idea if the game will be upgraded for PS5 Pro? No idea, man. It behooves developers these days to make their game be able to run on old hardware. So you're probably gonna see it always be available for like lower end generations, you know? Let's see, Rogue. Hunt Showdown increased price after release, right? Or am I misremembering? I always kind of thought it was $40. Maybe I'm misremembering. I've always thought it was $40 on release too, so who knows? Arts, always PvP in Buried City for sure. Yeah, I think Buried City was definitely the map that was... Like, that was one of those, you better be ready for a fight. Like, there's no way you're getting in and out of that map without a fight, you know? Yeah. Otik, welcome to the stream, man. Yeah, Buried City definitely felt like it was a fight at all times. Just constant fights. And because of the verticality, like, even if you were in areas trying to do quests, there was just so many gunfights happening around you that you just could never let your guard down, you know? Preacher Eye, man, welcome to the stream, man. I always see you in my comments, but now I got you on my stream, though. I felt like the player count balance was perfect, not too overpopulated, but you never know who's around the corner. Yeah, I felt that was a great mix where it was just enough that you didn't get bored, but not so much that it felt like a deathmatch, you know? Real quick, just to pause, I hate to keep saying this, right, but if you're not following me on Twitch, and you're watching on YouTube, I highly recommend watching me on Twitch. I'm trying to get those numbers up, just trying to, like, show more of a presence there, so when I start applying for, like, creator programs, things like that, it helps me get access to certain things, so then I can make content a lot easier, a lot more access to that. Also things for like drops, things of that nature. I only even started streaming because of Marathon said I had to do it on Twitch for their drops and their keys, which, you know, kind of shit the bed on that one, for them at least. But if you can, move over to Twitch. If you can't, I'm fine talking to you people on YouTube anyway. So don't even worry about it. So just if you can help, great. If not, then don't worry about it. Real estate, we are a community. We are alcoholics starving for other art content. Oh man, absolutely. Saint X Rage, welcome to the stream. Appreciate you. Hey Gecko, long time no see. How's it going? It's been a while, but I'm doing well. How are you doing? I got my health. Can't complain. I'm doing good, right? Modern Nick, is the price confirmed? I believe it was $40. I believe the going price is about $40, 40 US dollars. So yeah. Real estate game, the loot was worth it too. I felt like loot was a good. I think loot was wasn't a good mix. I think they could do more. But I feel like loot was a good mix where. You go to outer areas, you found some, some garbage type stuff or some low level type stuff, and when you start getting to certain areas, you found a good mix of things. And if you knew where to go for specific things, you were consistently met with those specific things, which was good because it kind of gives you a reason to keep visiting certain spots. Future Eye, if I could petition for you for the creator program, I'd sign in, no questions. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. Nature of the beast, unfortunately, there's that I don't know. I'm not sure if I call it a ceiling, but it's one of those games where it's like, I'm just not big enough yet, honestly. And at this stage, I don't blame them because, okay, they want people who can bring in millions of views, millions or like 100,000 views or whatever. They want to bring people who can bring in those eyes for their launch, right? And that's important, right? It's important for the game's success. So I don't take it personally, but it's one of those things where I know maybe a year from now, I'm still going to be here, whereas those other big creators may not be. So, Rogue, I like some people sparing me when I was alone. That was one way to play on low performance laptop. Yeah, well, there you go. So Salties, you're huge, Gecko. You just don't know it yet, man. I like to keep myself humble in this regard. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for hyping me up. I appreciate you. I try to stay humble in that regard because I have seen in my time doing the content creation with the Cycle Frontier, and I've seen content creators go from the size that I am now and go into bigger, better things, right? Essentially, right? And I've seen, no shade, I've seen their quality drop, right? In terms of their videos. And to me, I kind of swore, I'm not, that's not going to be me, right? I want to be able to keep the quality like I want to keep it now, because I enjoy making the videos and I enjoy making them good. I don't, play the clip game, so to speak, and I hope to never have to, Yeah, exactly. Keep striving, don't get comfy. Exactly. The Real Estate Gamer, yeah, specifically for the Buried City, it was definitely PvP, but there was plenty of good loot to make it worth dropping into that map. Felt good. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what it is. It's like the threat level matched the loot density, right? And so that was good. Saint Rage, I love that skin for the Raider on screen. It makes me think of a realistic Mega Man surviving the apocalypse. There you go. I was running that one because I couldn't get to the end of the battle pass of the one that I wanted. So that was a good, carry through for the test. Lugazart, yeah, Rogue, like DayZ, no mic, no life. They would spare my life if I talked to them. I mean, that's just generally true of almost any extraction shooter, man. I would talk to a lot of people in the Cycle Frontier through proxy chat and just be like, hey, brother, you got a mic? And just go with that one. Rockhound, you and Sloan X have been my go-to guys for Arc Raiders. Appreciate you, Creature Eye. Yeah, I noticed you guys are on their comment section too. Don't worry, I won't get jealous. But it's interesting, It's good. It's a good community. It's good. The vast majority of people I start to recognize at that point, and it's a great community. You guys always have something positive to add. And I always appreciate feedback whenever you guys are able to give it. So yeah. Let's see here. I remember my favorite proxy chat reaction in the Cycle Frontier, or one of my favorites, and I still remember this years later. I remember I'm going through Crescent Falls and I get to this area, and I can know there's a guy somewhere in this area because he's messing with PVE, and I'm trying to make my way there. And it's like another little choke point, and we both end up in the exact same building, right? But we have like this wall between us, right? And like he's staying still and I'm staying still, and we both know each other are there. And I'm like, I'm not trying to fight. I'm just trying to get to point A, man. He's trying to get to point B, and we're just kind of in each other's way, right? I remember I go, hey, listen, bro. I'm just trying to get to X, and I ain't trying to fight. Now, if we want to fight, we can fight. We can roll the dice. I might lose. You might lose. Whatever. But if you're trying to get on out of here, just start heading that direction. I'm going to start heading on this direction. We good? No mic. But then he starts running in that direction, and I start running in the other direction. Right? And it's just kind of, it kind of just stuck with me. It was when I was like, and I always kind of coach people when it comes to their proxy chat, never beg. Right? Well, you can beg. Maybe it's your style. I don't know. Maybe how your voice comes out. But like, for me, it doesn't. Right? I always come at it like, hey, listen, we can fight. You can roll the dice. But I'm just trying to get to here. Right? We just chilling. Right? And that kind of lends a level of confidence. Like, listen, I will f you up if you tell me we're not friends. But I ain't trying to be your enemy either. Radio Rambo, I think you're doing great, man. Keep it up, man. I feel like you're a down-to-earth person that's keeping an honest. I appreciate you, man. I definitely try to come at it from that perspective. Like, I always try to make my guides from a perspective of, like, just the regular dude or gamer or whatever, right? Like, I'm not some super hyper Twitch streamer where, like, I'm able to hit headshots from a bazillion miles away or anything like that. I'm not able to do none of that. I'm not some ex-pro player. Like, I'm just a regular gamer. And so when I make guides with the intention of like, hey, I'm giving you information. I can't make you shoot faster. I can't make you shoot better or anything like that. What I can do is I can give you the information to make good decisions. And good decisions will put you in good positions. Good positions help you win fights. You know, that's my 2 cents about that, you know. The rest of the game with the skin I ran was the pilot one without a helmet because the leather jacket and tirade me felt like it was a back in the Uncharted game. Yeah. Rogue, I was spared without mic. I only use don't shoot voice line. That feature is great. Yeah, I think that's really good too. Sit Rage, October is going to be great. We're going to get we're getting 2 dice games in 1 month. It's good for you, man. Like, if that's what you're into, then great. I've been waiting on Arc Raiders for too long at this point. And honestly, I think the Battlefield franchise kind of passed me up at this point. It's not for me anymore. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Like, I don't need a $1 billion game to have to be made for me. Probably not. That's fine. Keep your eye, Rogue. I've been spared a few times. Myself rolling solo. Dude even healed me. Dude, that's great. Real estate gamer, voice over RP, and the given emotes with voice lines created so many good encounters like that. Yeah, man. For me, I think almost all of my proxy chat interactions for Arc Raiders was at evac, on solo. I would always get there, and I'd try to go into the evac, right? And I hear somebody rolling around. It goes, "Hey, chill. We good? We chilling?" Right? And then they would respond and be like, "All right, we're good. And I was always keep something between us, like, we're ready to evac. We're just chilling. We're just trying to evac, right?" And I did that a few times. And that was kind of fun. That was interesting. Feature eye. It be like that sometimes, man. A big old group just kind of rolling around. No one wants to mess with it. And as soon as you're by yourself, pop. Amado Nick, I haven't felt like proximity chat was impactful. I played every day of Tech Test 2. I used chat exactly 3 times when I was going without any loot or to farm fruits. When I had nothing to lose, basically. In every other situation, it was either safer to stay quiet to get an advantage, or high-level people would just don't have a reason to team up and would just fight you. I mean, I think it comes down to how you use it, right? I think for me, the way I used it was from a position of power, right? And let me explain that a little bit. Is that I was already out of line of sight, and so they didn't know where I was, so they would just hear my voice, which means it put them in a very awkward position because it's like I clearly see you, I can clearly talk to you, and I had a chance. If not, I still have a chance to shoot first, anyways. So it puts them in a very defensive posture. Like, you know what? I'm just gonna say yes and be nice to you right now, and back the hell up. And sometimes that's all you need from them. Sometimes all you need is for them to give you some space. You know? And so I feel like, you know, Kitra, I had a false sense of security that's on me. Yeah, sometimes that happens. Sometimes you just get too comfortable. You know? Me, I'm the opposite. I'm like hyper paranoid. Ask anybody whoever ever played with. I'm always worried about, okay, where's the likely path they're coming from? Like, I heard a shot in this direction like 2 minutes ago, which means if they're heading in our direction, as at the time calculating the fucking routes and shit like that. So people would be like, dude, you're paranoid. These games do that to me, honestly. Real estate ARC will be my main game when I'm not BF6, when I'm not in ARC. Good for you, man. Like, that's honestly great. Like, people just, it's a good time to have those games and have those features to be able to go into. Yes, Callcrafted, the reverb and the sound effects, like, it just made it sound more natural. Like, it didn't sound artificial, and it didn't sound like voice over IP. You know, it sounded like actual people talking in the open or in concrete buildings or whatever it is, which didn't take you out of it. Like, it didn't just be like, all right, some random 12-year-old's talking to me from his mom's basement or something, you know? It sounded like an actual raider talking in the open, right? Ozark, Embark still hasn't priced Arc Raiders on PlayStation. How much would you pay for this game? It's up there with some of the best AAA titles. I think just take my money, Embark. I agree with you, man. I believe the price is going to be about $20 USD. Not $20, sorry, $40 USD. And I don't think it behooves them to charge more for the base product. I think there's a lot of room for like add-ons if people want to add add-ons. I think if they're gonna like be like, hey, you get X number of in-game, you know, credits or X skins to start off with, or a real life hatch key or some shit like that, like they would do good, you know, putting that on the market, honestly. Real estate gamer, I was high level and didn't shoot everyone on site, so that isn't gospel. I just, you know, YMMV and your playstyle or movement or areas may be causing that. I mean, yeah, honestly, like if you're making yourself an easy shot, then chances are someone would rather just take you out and not deal with you afterwards, right? Whereas if someone's running around with some decent gear and they're not really the best shot in the world and they kind of like don't really get a good read on you, maybe it's better for them to talk to you first as opposed to letting you get closer with a shot, right? Doritos Duvo, when I sneak up behind someone and say, hey Raider, I'm pretty sure every time they didn't attack me. Huh. Well, that's good for you, man. Were you solo when that happened, Duvo? Because anytime I ever used proximity chat, it was always solo. I never really attempted it otherwise because there's just too much firepower around. No one's gonna. I never really had enough trust in people to be like, hey, there's me, this guy, and that guy with guns, and there's 3 of you with guns, and that are likely all on Discord. You guys are all gonna count down and start shooting at us any moment in time. I'm not gonna give you the opportunity. I'm just gonna start shooting first. But for solo, that's a different dynamic, you know. Affy, thank you so much for the follow, man. Appreciate you coming by. Let's see here. Affy, did you get a chance to play in the tech test at all? Real estate gamer, I feel like PvP addicts and scared players are the ones that shoot on site for the most part. Players who are good, confident, and have experience aren't really going to shoot you without a reason. I mean, I guess it's kind of half true. Like, I can say like myself, I won't shoot you without a reason, but at the same time, I'm a PvP addict, so. And a lot of times it just depends on what I'm doing, right? I think it's one of those cases where if I'm heading to the evac and I'm trying not to create more scenario, and also if I already have a full bag, I'm like, I can't carry anymore. Now, here's the thing though, right? Here's the thing. If I can see you have a weapon in your hand that I really want, I might take that shot. You know? Well, Crofter, is there a deluxe or premium? I'm 100% in. This company deserves our support so far. Yeah, I think you're going to be a premium pre-order with some extra thing. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's, uh, Embark have shown themselves worthy of our faith, right? And that's just not me glazing or anything like that. I'm just looking at what have they done with the finals, and what have they done in terms of the monetization and, like, not ripping people off, and the quality of their work, right? Versus other companies like EA, Activision, things of that nature. Like, you just compare them to their counterparts. It's like they've kind of earned your faith at this point. And so I don't have issue supporting them at all. Yeah, I think there's going to be a premium order version of the game in terms of just what you're going to order. I think it would be dumb for them not to, because that's leaving money on the table. So I'm just curious of what it's going to be, because it's going to come down to what you perceive the value is going to be. Because if all they're going to offer me is a bunch of posters, I'm like, I'll support them for the sake of doing that. Maybe I'll have an unboxing. I'll have them in my background or something like that. But it's not normally my thing. Just the gamer, the few idiots that still attacked me after I VoIPed being friendly mostly got shat on, so it just takes confidence and smarts experience with distraction shooters. Yeah, I mean, sometimes maybe it's just newer players that they need the fight experience, And to me, I feel like that's a good thing to do. Like, that's one of the first things I always recommend people do when they're first getting into extraction shooters, is basically get the fight experience. Go out, push gunshots, get fight experience, especially with new loadouts or free loadouts. Go and get the fight experience. If you're new to extraction games and you're nervous about that, go get the experience. I got a Twitch drop for Warhammer, bro. Hey, man, you should play the game. Close the game, but thanks to the voice, I can try trade for that weapon too, and then fight for it if they don't want to trade. Like, there you go, man. Like, hey, you want to drop that gun, or I can just take it off your body. Start robbing people that way. Like, I'm just trading. I'm just trading. I'm just trading, bro. I'm just trading. Put a gun to their head and shit. Right, Creature Eye, what happens at topside stays in topside. All love back at Speranza. Pretty much, right? The one thing that I feel that's kind of funny, though, is that whenever I get a comment about... Oh, man. Comments sometimes... When I get a comment talking about how unrealistic it is for people to, like, shoot each other in the situation that they're in Speranza, like, in topside, it's just like... brother. Just... Alright, how do I start this? Like, whenever you see a post-apocalyptic story on TV, let's take The Walking Dead. Let's take that as an example, right? And it always devolves into the people being the biggest threat to people. It always devolves into that, right? And your immediate reaction isn't like, well, they should band together. This doesn't make any sense. No, it doesn't. That's not your reaction. Your reaction goes, oh, I know people. This makes sense. Right? So in the situation of Speranza and, like, the top side and the lack of structure and, like, the chaos of all that, and just, like, the post-apocalyptic nature of all of it, like, it just makes sense that people are going to take care of their own. Right? Real estate gamer, yep, to new extraction shooter players, use all the crappy loadouts, and with this game, the free loadouts are perfect. Go and get the jitters out, make friends, but trust no one. Always be ready and always see you. CYA, yeah, cover your ass. Cole Crofter, how do you feel about the game dropping between Battlefield 6 and COD? Personally, I don't think it will have a big impact, being quite a niche genre. I agree. I think there's only two ways that I think Battlefield and COD affect Arc Raiders, right? Two ways. One, attention, and money, right? So you got your guy who has 3 buddies who are going to be playing games, and they want to play games with their buddies, and those 3 buddies are not interested in Arc Raiders. They're going to be interested in Battlefield 6. You're going to want to play, you're going to want to play Battlefield 6 with them, and that way you're going to kind of go that way. right? The other one is money. Not everyone is blessed enough to be able to have that kind of budget, to be able to buy all those games in a month. And if they have to choose, right, especially if they have that friend, again, back to the attention thing, if they have those friends that play those games, yeah, that's going to be the way in which those two games really affect, those games affect Arc Raiders in that regard. But in terms of direct competition, I don't think anyone's really going like, I really like Battlefield and I really like Arc Raiders. I'm only going to play one of them. Right? I don't think that's going to happen. Right? If they really like both, they're going to play both. Right? And if they're the kind of player who plays, a person who likes to play Arc Raiders, there's a decent chance they're not playing Battlefield. Right? That's just me, you know? Creature Eye, it's like that one trailer. Did you see Arc? Yes, but they are the least of my problems. Yes. 100%. Right? I think Arc is not this seasonal game like COD, as the final showed. Embark games only grow and become better in time. Yes, absolutely. I think this Battlefield will come and go, right? And I've stated before, come February, when all the hype has died down, Arc will still be standing and will still be doing well. You know, because they don't rely on hype. They don't need to break records in order to be successful, right? They just need to exist. And people will go, this game's awesome. You need to play this game. That's all they need, right? I'm willing to lose friends over Arc. I'll find new ones. Cole Crofter, dude, join the Discord. Right here, we're here ready for you. Discord is plenty of people for, it's like, you know what, my friends, if my friends don't Arc, then then they're not my friends of mine. Friends of mine. However that song goes, Crazy Trick. Wait, on that note, there are surely more settlements than Speranza. I think so. I think that would be an interesting lore dynamic, right? And if you've seen my clans video, my No Wipes clans video, I think it's a perfect opportunity to do like faction style thing where, like, at that point the conflict isn't a matter of like one raider looking for the benefit of himself over another. It comes down to like one colony straight up trying to like not, cease from existing because of another colony, right? Or even like larger scale conflicts with arcs in that regard. And so I think that would be interesting as a story dynamic. And Creature Eye, for that take, is in terms of that one trailer, did you see Arc? But yes, they were at least in my problems. Here's the thing that I think some people don't appreciate from my point of view in this regard, is that the E in the PvPvE acronym is silent, right? It is a lubricant, if you will, to help the PvP experience, right? This is not a PvE game. This is a PvP game with obstacles, right? It's what it is, right? Now, before you get up in arms and get the torches out and pitchforks and whatnot, right? The reason why I say that is that it's not that you can't get a great immersive experience. It's not that you can't have a great PvE and cooperative experience, right? But let me ask you, every decision that you make in regards to this game, what's it centered around? It's centered around PvP, right? The skills you choose, right, is centered around your ability to survive and engage with another player. The paths you take is going to be centered around the fact whether or not you can take it onto another player, right? The loadouts that you bring is going to be centered around your ability to take a fight with another player, right? That is the core of your experience. Now, how much value you place in that, that's going to vary per person, for sure. But it is absolutely the core of your experience, whether you like it or not. Because the thing, if you ignore that portion of the game, it ain't going to ignore you. That's for sure. Real Estate Gamer, I disagree. That's okay. You can disagree with it. But in my experience, the moment you have PvP available, it's going to be at the core of your experience, right? Now, here's the thing. When I say core of your experience, that doesn't mean that's what you're going to be doing the majority of your time, right? That's not what I mean. I don't mean that. Like you can be like I'm fighting PVE. Statistically, yes, you're fighting way more PVE than you are PvP, right? Statistically speaking, there's way more bots way more arc on the map than there are players on the map, right? So you can simply say by volume, you're doing more PVEing than you are PvPing. That's correct. And if you judge it by that, then yes, PvE. You can say then at that point, PvE is the core of your experience, right? Um, but we're not judging by volume. We're judging by the decisions that you're making. So here's the thing. Creature, great point, which I was getting to right here is I'm more worried about players. Arc is still a threat, but they have patterns players don't. Say, even when you're PvEing, right? Even if you're PvEing, you're still worried about PvP, right? In fact, I would say PvE is more dangerous because you're worried about PvP. So here's the thing. If you gave me free reign on a Rocketeer and told me no player will interrupt you, dude, that's not going to be a hard thing, right? It's not a hard. It's that. Give me a Rattler and that's it, and I'll sit there and just kill a Rocketeer on my own, knowing full well that player can't kill me. That's not a hard fight. Now, if I need to kill him quickly from a position that I can't get jumped from, that's a little more difficult. And I have to make those calculations because that player will make those calculations for me. Right? Therefore, even when I'm fighting a Rocketeer, as an example, PvP is still the core of my experience because I have to make decisions based off of that experience. Right? Real Estate, they made the PvE strong enough that it makes the truly PvE game not a PvE. Was plenty of times where arcs overwhelmed me after killing 4 or 5 players near the first extraction shooter I've played where it was truly PvE. No, so here's the thing. I think there's a misconstrued I think this is where we're kind of like maybe misunderstanding each other, and that's fine, right? Even if we disagree, I'm not, saying everyone has to think the same way as me. Not at all, right? I feel like it's great to have these varying experiences. Is that just because the PvE is hard doesn't make it the core of your experience, right? That doesn't change it, right? Let's see here. And what kills you the most? And what kills you the most isn't like the core of your experience either, right? It comes down to like what part of the game is demanding your decision and demanding your attention the most, right? And that's PvP, And with Hunt, I think up until Arc Raiders came out with its PvE, right? Hunt had the best PvE in extraction games, right? Because and I could even make the assertion that it has slightly better PvE for an extraction game than Arc does, right? Because now don't shoot the messenger now, right? Because I feel like its PvE has more variety in terms of the tools you're required to have in order to deal with it, right? Because you got all those pyro guys you can't use sharp objects on, you can't shoot them, right? You've got the ranged witches, you have the brutish guys, you've got the armored. Like I feel like you need to think about them a little more dynamically than you do with Arc. With Arc, it's like cool. Do I have heavy ammo weapon? Yeah, cool. I can kill it, right? And that's not to take away from Arc's PvE. It's still excellent. But that's kind of my demonstrating of like that's the bar. And I think if you use games like ABI, Tarkov, Delta Force, if you use those games as the bar, everything's gonna look better, right? Because there's only so much you can do. These are milsim games. So there's only so much you can do with that. The PvE in that game is kind of like meh, right? Whereas with sci-fi oriented games or horror games, in the case of Hunt, they can do a lot more, Let's see. This is the first extraction. It started off as a PvE game. Duo started a PvE game with these machine learning technology, and the P was added later. I consider more of a PvE game. Here's the thing. PvP was always part of the thing. Devs have cleared this up. PvP was always part of it. They just decided to lean more into it. That's really what it is, right? So, and here's the thing. Saying the PvE is good because they started off as PvE only, I think doesn't give Embark enough credit. Because Embark, I feel like even if they started off as a PvE extraction game or PvP extraction game, I think they still would have done a good job of like using the machine learning. I think they still could have came up to the same conclusion, So I feel like they're good enough as developers that they probably would put the same amount of effort into it as well. So that's kind of like my thing. And I feel like a lot of that, I feel like even as a PvE player, like a player that's more into the PvE side of things, even as that kind of player, um, the quicker you understand that PvP is the core of the experience, the better games you'll have, right? Because you realize that now. Because at that point, cool, I'm gonna make decisions differently because I understand this is gonna be the thing I really need to worry about, and then the rest of your game looks better. Because then you can just avoid PvP because you understand how it. Because then you understand more of it, right? You understand the patterns and things like that because you just realize it. Okay, well I know if I go XYZ path at ABC time, I'm gonna run into people pretty quickly. And if you're trying to avoid people, you're just trying to do your own thing. I'm trying to do my quest. I'm trying to do my thing. I'm trying to PVE. Trying to be engrossed in the immersion of this world. I don't really want to deal with players. Understanding that helps you do that even better. Let's see here. It's a realistic gamer. I literally killed 4 to 5 players, and we were fighting off Rocketeers and Arc the entire fight. I won the battle, ran out of ammo, and got pinned down by after everyone else was dead. I mean, yeah, I mean that's what it's there for. It's to facilitate the PvP. Like, because if there was no PvE, that fight would have been your run of the mill, PvP fight. But because E is part of that equation, it spices up the PvP. Right? Your PvP didn't spice up the PvE. That's the thing. Like the PvP did not facilitate a better PvE experience. It's the opposite. That's my point. Cole Crofter, that's why PvPvE is vital. Same with Hunt. You're fighting bots and you're suddenly shot in the back and the game focuses immediately shifts. That's tension and excitement. It's vital. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's also like, these are also good sound traps because it helps facilitate patterns of where players should and shouldn't be, Beastmaster, Gecko, what was your favorite gun you tried at Tech Test 2? Favorite gun. Not counting the anvil because that shit was broken. I'm a humble guy, man. I like the Stitcher. But the Rattler was surprisingly fun. The Rattler grew on me, right? But in terms of favorite, the Venator. I think it was if that's what it's called, the Venator. It was the blue pistol. It was the blue pistol that I got. Cole Croft, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate you. And so yeah, I believe that's the name of it. I'm gonna go look it up real quick because now it's gonna bug me if I don't know the name for it. It's gonna take me a long while to do this. Apparently, like I'm all thumbs today right here. Let's see here. Realistic game. I think it's just perspective. I was playing the game more as a PVE game with PvP during lack of comms or versus idiots. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, and that's my point I was making earlier, where like you can be a PvE game and you can approach this as a PvE game experience. However, your experience doing that is going to be even better if you recognize that the PvP portion of the game is actually the core, right? Because you're making decisions based off of that. And if you understand that, you can start actually going making decisions in that way. And you can actually avoid the PvP more effectively or get into those fights more efficiently. And then you can get on with the actual PvE portion of the game. That's what that's the kind of like perspective I'm taking. Like, regardless of what you want out of the game, I think it's a really great game because you can get what you want out of it, even if it's not. But I think ignoring that part of the game, that the fact that it is the core of the game, is to your detriment, regardless of how you want to play it. Yeah, it's the Venator. Excuse me. Yeah, so it's the pistol. So Beastmaster, to answer your question, it was the Venator pistol is probably one of my favorite guns. I felt like it was just like a good. It was like a battle rifle, basically. It's like a single tap accurate gun, shoot pretty fast. Um, I think it felt like it was in a good spot. Let's see here, Beastmaster. From the videos I've seen, there's only one scope weapon. Yes, there's only one scope weapon. It's called the Osprey, which is a sniper rifle. It's kind of butt cheeks. I'm not gonna lie. It's okay for its purpose. Like if you're in spaceport and you're fighting people at longer ranges, it's extremely accurate. It's extremely potent. But oftentimes when I was using it, I had my duo with me or my trio, and we're fighting at other trios and the duos. If you're fighting at the range where the Osprey is better than the Renegade, you're not gonna be able to finish anybody off. It's just too far. With that being said, I like the Renegade a lot. The Renegade, I didn't like the Renegade initially, but it grew on me, especially once you start upgrading it. Pff, man, yeah. Real estate, Sly Ginger. Let's see here. Sly Ginger, welcome to the chat, man. Appreciate you coming in. The Venerator and the Bobcat were my favorite SMG. Were my favorite. Yes, I like the Bobcat a lot. Unfortunately, as soon as I got my hands on it, I lost it every single time. There was one time where I got killed by a bison. As soon as I found the Bobcat in the key room, and then unfortunately I ran into a bison, and that didn't work out too well for me. So I learned the hard way. You cannot run from the bison, like just in the open. Can't do it. Beastmaster, do you think there will be more in the full game? Yeah, I think they've already stated as such that there's going to be more in full game. I think there are some gaps in there. I think that what they've done initially, they've shown that they want to have like almost every type of gun in every like slot. So you have all the guns in gray, all the guns in green, all the guns in blue, all that kind of good jazz. Callcroft, yeah, that's the point. You're going to go to do missions and a loot, but risk the Pisca PvP will be ultimate make you better player to achieve your goals. Yeah, I mean that's what it is. And I was gonna point that out. Like even if you don't particularly care for the PvP, it behooves you to get good at it, right? Like just learn, because if once you learn how to get good at it, you actually are more equipped to avoid it. It's kind of like learning how to fight. Like if anyone who's ever never been to a martial arts studio or learn how to any kind of like martial arts discipline, any kind of thing like that, like learning how to is the best way to how to avoid it, because then you learn the nature of violence, right? Let's not get all into that downward spiral there. Basically, in terms of arc raiders, once you learn how to fight in arc raiders, you're more equipped to learn how to avoid it, because then you know what to look for. Like, hey, I don't want to go that path, because that path, based off of the noise that I just heard, is probably not a good idea. You know, the Venerator was a double shot pistol. Yes, Slide Ginger was a double shot pistol, and I didn't even know that until afterwards. I think I picked up a Venerator off of some dude early on, and I slapped like a gigantic extended magazine and a vertical grip on it. That became one of my favorite weapons, honestly. Real estate gamer, I just kind of just immersed myself and treated it like a real life, like it was surviving real world. I mean, that's how I play it too. Like I, I I'm I'm a very PvP focused player, but I'm not a player that goes out of his way to go PvPing. Right? I think that's what sets me apart. I think a little bit in terms of my mindset. I don't hear shots. I immediately have to go there. I think I go, cool. I have a mission to go to. Here's my spawn. Here's where my mission area is going to be. Here's some areas I want to hit for loot. And then I'm going to evac. Whatever happens between is going to happen between. That's kind of how I look at it. You know? Now, if there's a fight going on and I hear some juicy weapons, maybe. I'm just saying. Slide Ginger, what's up? Oh no. Beastmaster will be doing a 24-hour stream October. Dude, I am not no spring chicken, brother. Beastmaster, I am 42 years old. I cannot handle no 24-hour stream. Right now, whatever time they decide to launch will be the time I'm going to be playing. Doesn't matter what time it's going to be. So there's that. You know. Slide Ginger had a Bobcat with the purple stock for 20% plus fire rate. Dear God, yeah. and with it already upgraded fully and it beams. Oh my god, yeah, dude, it's just you can't even distinguish the bullets at that point. You know, it's just all gonna be it's just gonna be a fire hose at that point. You know, Sean, welcome to the stream, man. We should run some games sometimes. I'm part of the CC. Hey, man, yeah, I'm what you call it? I dive back and forth with them. I kind of stick to my own little corner. I think they're kind of centered around more tactical oriented games, which is not necessarily what I type to do. But they're a cool bunch of people though. They're cool. But yeah, join the Discord on my end. That's pretty much where I'm going to be the most active. And so if I want to create a heavy Arc Raider presence to have people come in and always have people to ask questions and run games with. So yeah, definitely. Realistic game, being nasty at PvP allowed me to have the confidence to make more friends in their play it more like a PvE game, good intense PvP sprinkling in. I mean, that's really and I think that's really the key thing message that I would put out there is like your ability to PvE or PvP is going to give you huge amounts of confidence and the ability to really enjoy the game, right? I feel like whenever I go as Sean, go as Proximal, dude, you were already in the server, man. I think yeah, I saw you in the server earlier, but yeah, I'm not. Wait, pretty sure you're still in the server. Who knows? But yeah, join the server if you're not already there, man. But yeah, I mean, the biggest issues that I've seen in the past when it comes to comments, right, about these kinds of games having PvE, when is people will make comments about, there needs to be a PvE only mode, it needs to be this needs to be that, right? And that usually comes from a place of ignorance, I think, where like they don't, and that's kind of where my position is coming from. Like, I don't want people to walk in this unknowing what they're walking into, right? And I feel like when they come in here, they thinking they can get away with avoiding PvP, they're setting themselves up for disappointment, right? And and usually what ends up happening, you're going to start hearing people talking about PvE only mode, and all that kind of stuff. And I can get into a whole tangent as to like, that's not necessarily the greatest idea, even if it is separated, whatever. I'm here now. I believe Arc going to be my main game, to be honest. Yeah, definitely going to be my main game, that's for sure. And that's to me is like, I just want people to have fun playing the games they're going to have fun playing, right? And I feel like if you're going to join into a game with a misconception of what you're getting into, you're setting yourself up for disappointment, and that's not good for you or the game or the people who are playing the game, because when you're sitting there, it'll make recommendations for the game to change the nature of the game. That's not good, that's like me going to like a Tarkov Discord or a Tarkov Reddit or something like that and be like, hey guys, you need to add friendly indicators, and you need to add slide jumping, and yeah, you die way too fast in this game. You need to get me like no headshot, one shots types. It's like me asking for things like that, just to make it suitable for me. I'm just better off just going to go play a game that I actually enjoy, and just let them enjoy the game that they enjoy. Let me enjoy the game that I enjoy. And if we happen to overlap at some point, great. Beastmaster, what time will it launch? 12 midnight worldwide. Don't know, man. Don't know. I know Tech Test 2, it started at 5 o'clock in the morning for me. And bet your ass I was up at that time. So, the realistic gamer, from my experience in extraction shooters, the issue with PvE is usually when the PvE is too easy or brain dead or unfairly cracked. Yeah. Like in Gray Zone, getting headshotted by AI in a bush across. Yeah, I mean, that's it. The funny thing about it is that Gray Zone is a great example as to developers trying to make it more PvE oriented and just failing utterly. Right? And I feel like it's a great example because you can't just crank difficulty up on PvE, because then it feels unfair. And Gray Zone Warfare is a great example of AI feeling unfair when it is difficult, right? Because you want to feel like and especially in a situation like that, you want to feel like it's an actual person, or like it's a living, breathing thing, but it also happens to be skillful, right? Like if you magically made Arc way more aggro, but kept its intelligence and its accuracy the same, I don't think people would mind. Well, I think people would mind, but they would be annoyed. But like, it wouldn't feel unfair, if that makes sense. You know. Um, and I think the way to make PVE more engaging and more difficult in a fair way is not necessarily just to crank their numbers up, right? Make them more bullet spongy, make their damage better, make them instantly headshot you. It's more about making them puzzles to solve. Jake the All Right, the creator, he's the one who coined that phrase, make them puzzles to solve. And I think it's such a great way of looking at it, because if you make them puzzles to solve, like give them unique mechanics that force you to fight them a certain way, otherwise you'll lose, is better. And I think Hunt Showdown is a great example of that. Sean, Arc has so much as audio gameplay loop. Everything is a threat. Different type of AI visuals, just everything. I love it, man. And I love the fact that the AI is so different. The PVE is so different from PvP. I really enjoy that. I feel like I enjoy that the fighting PvE and fighting PvP feels worlds apart. They don't even feel even close to the same, right? I love that because it takes you out of it. You're like, oh, I gotta fight. I gotta worry about drones in the air, or I gotta worry about a person on the ground. Like, and then there's like, spiders jumping on my face. It's just, I love the fact that there's so many different varieties of combat, and that PvE does. It's not just basically kind of like ABI or Tarkov, where the PvE is basically just other humans, Realistic gamer, I've played, I think, all extraction shooters have been my bread and butter since I left Battlefield and COD long ago. Arc Raiders seems to have the answer to my prayers for extraction that nails the PvE side of things. I agree, man. I think, and I think the key aspect of it is the fact that it's not modern combat. It's not a mil sim. It's a sci-fi world that gives the developers a way to really like expand on it and use their imagination. And I think we're going to see some really cool stuff in the future too. I think we're just scratching the surface when it comes to the arcs that we can come out with. All right, guys. I think I'm going to be calling it a night at this point. We did basically just nonstop chat. I didn't even get to the game at this point, which is great. I love you guys because you guys made this fun, just sitting around, just goobing about the game, which is probably therapeutic for me because otherwise I just spiral in circles, and that's how I end up with like making videos about random topics. If you're not part of the Discord, go ahead and get part of that Discord. If you're not following me on Twitch, highly recommend following me on Twitch. Otherwise, every Tuesday, I'm gonna try doing every Tuesday 5:30 Central to just be here. I'm just chatting about Arc Raiders, and just chilling. So yeah, I look forward to putting out another video here, but probably coming up this weekend, and then soon after that, probably gonna be another podcast. So yeah. We'll probably talk about next time. We'll probably talk next time about about that sentiment, right? Zinjasia, Coco, I agree with the sentiment of making enemies puzzles to solve, but I don't think asking for PvE only would hurt the game. We can talk about that. Bronze for life, man. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate you. We're on our way out today, but next week we'll be here as well. A creature. I feel like Arc appeals to an older audience. I think it does, but I also think extraction shooters in general appeal to an older audience because patience is a weapon in these games. So yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for chatting around, being here. We'll see you again next week and put it up on the schedule. I'm gonna be more consistent about doing this every Tuesday, 5:30 Central. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week.